Welcome back to episode 19 of the Shut Up Something Something podcast. Name pending, patent pending. When this goes through, I'm going to have a patent on all talking. You won't be able to say a single slur without paying me a nickel. You may be wondering, where are the other 18 episodes? What, did you recently go woke and you had to delete all the episodes where you said the N-word? Yeah, basically. I started a podcast during COVID, like everybody else, and then eventually I just got bored and I took most of it down, except one account I got locked out of and I can't take it down because of the Jews. So that's a fun little Easter egg if you feel like finding it. Can't imagine why you would want to, but if you do, don't tell anyone. I say a lot of bad stuff. It's satire. I know what satire is. Shut up. You don't know what satire is. Anyway, why come back? I have a friend who's an employee at a university, and when he was doing the orientation tours to bring all these kids in, it included showing them like a recording room or a podcast room that the school had, and he said a lot of kids were excited about starting a podcast. And you think about, what the fuck are you going to talk about? If you're a guy, it's like alpha male podcast, or thinking you and your stupid friends are funny, or if you're a girl, it's like true crime or being a slut. I could do that. I could do that way better. People need to know.
People need to know about the can eat more.
And then cut in that clip from Futurama and remember to remove this editor's note to myself. It's going to be different this time, and by different I mean worse. It's going to be less edited, less structured, less thought out. I had a background music when I did it the first time, and I remember I was talking to my friend about it, and he said that it prevented him from listening at 1.5x speed. So we had to really slow down and really think about it at 1x. And I'm not going to bother doing the music, but if you're listening to this at 1.5x speed, then just don't listen. It's not like this is important information you need to ingest as quickly as possible. That's not the point. I've caught myself doing that, watching like YouTube slop, and I'll make a queue. I'll go through my homepage and click on every fucking recommended video, and I got a queue of like 14 tabs. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, oh, I got to watch all of these before I can do anything useful tonight. So I'll watch these videos at 1.5x speed or 2x. And I realized at some point, if I'm eager to get through these as fast as possible, do I even want to consume these? So if you have this sped up right now, I'm going to push the button that just kicks you off right now. Okay, now that all the gay people are gone, because this is less structured, it would probably be better to do this with friends or just someone, because it'll fill the dead air when I'm just sitting here for 3 minutes thinking quietly. And in general, just be more entertaining. I think most people are more funny and interesting in conversation than just talking. Even people who are claimed to be good at it. I don't think stand-up comics are funny for the most part. You got like 2 good comics, and one of them died. I didn't even know he was sick. So I should get guests, and someday I'll be big enough to get Joe Rogan to sit on the floor next to my desk, which is where all the monkeys usually sit. But until then, I have some friends, but my friends are retarded, which is good, I guess, in a podcast context. But they're also lazy, which is bad. If I told them to set up some recording situation so we can get good quality audio, they won't do it. If I tell them to show up at a certain time, they won't do it. I hate you guys so much. Fuck you guys. Anyway, I don't think we need more mongoloids on the internet talking about AI. But as one of the mongoloids who trusts my judgment, I'm going to talk about it. I have my thoughts on it, and I could just wait till everything plays out and then pretend that I always agreed with everything that played out the way it did, but that's cowardly. I like to gamble. I like to gamble on hobo bum fights. So I'm going to make my calls, and if I'm right, then I can say, haha, I was right, you saw it. And if I'm wrong, I'll quietly delete this. You may be wondering, what are my credentials to be talking about AI? Well, I have a podcast. I'm not listening to you. I'm just going to go on a complete tangent. A while ago, my friend wanted to set me up with his sister-in-law. I think this was before the marriage, so he was engaged, so it was technically his fiance's sister. So we chatted a little bit. It didn't quite seem like she was that into it, and it was almost like a politeness thing because we were introduced by people we know. So eventually it got to a point where she asked me my thoughts on AI, and since I thought, all right, this is kind of already going nowhere, I took the autism guards off and just sent her a fucking essay on my thoughts on AI, a pure just conversation killer. She said, like, LOL, I'm at dinner, I'll read this later, and then never got back to me. And then maybe a week or two later, I just messaged her again and asked if she wanted to be a plus one to the wedding. She said no, and that's fine, whatever, move on with my life. And then 2 months later, maybe, some amount of months later, my friend called me up to tell me that she was now mad at the bride because I never officially asked her out, and therefore I must think she's ugly. Which, one, she's not ugly, she's beautiful. Two, I did ask her out, she said no. And three, why are you punishing the bride for what I did? Women be shopping. Anyway, I'm not going to just read this essay, just this crazy person essay I sent her, because not all of it's relevant, and there's a lot of talk about, oh, baby girl, let me touch your boobies. But the gist of it was that even calling it AI is a misnomer. It's not, what we call AI today is large language models, which is a subset of machine learning, which is a subset of the overall field of artificial intelligence. And we've had machine learning for fucking ever. So long we've had this, and people have been using machine learning for various stuff. We have better hardware now, so we can run more complex models, but the only real innovation is one of marketing. They've rebranded ML as AI and convinced a lot of really fucking stupid people that this was the future. And it's not that it's useless. ML's always had its uses, but this like fever pitch, this is everything, is going to just go crazy. And generally, I mostly interact with people who are like me or I get along with. And so I thought this was a pretty common opinion. People understood, there's a lot of speculation. But I was talking to people who aren't in my close circle, people I don't interact with that much. And they seemed shocked that I mentioned that AI was a bubble. And I wasn't even being 100% negative. I said, well, it's obviously a bubble. But yeah, you can make your money on the way up just trying to get caught in the crash. And like, oh, wow, really? How do you not see it? Even if you believe in it and what it can do, and I'm not saying it does nothing, surely you can see that it's a bubble. It looks like a bubble. It's shaped like a bubble. It smells and tastes like a bubble down your throat. But I don't think it's, so enormously useful that it should be replacing jobs. It will, not because it's good, but because the people making these decisions are stupid, and probably their job should be replaced by AI. But you're probably going to get fired. I'm going to get fired. They're going to find a way to make AI push them up, and I'll be out of the game, and then I'll have to find another way to sneak into high schools to look at the girls. But I imagine it's going to do a really shitty job, and then you're going to have to rehire a lot of your workforce. And you'd hope at a premium to fix all those crappy vomit spills that AI didn't clean up well enough. But probably you get hired back at some worse position in a worse situation because that's just the trend of how things go these days. But it's not really the pragmatic side of AI that, really riles up my autism. The world is full of dumb, pointless things that get along just fine. I tend to think of things in schizo-spiritual terms, which makes me sound like a crazy person, and I should really watch out for that schizophrenia diagnosis. But as far as the schizo-spiritual part of it goes, there's a book called Pastmaster by R.L. Lafferty, and it's a sci-fi book, dystopian future, another planet. Burping quietly in my throat, and then out loud. In his book, there's a race of programmed persons, which are machines that are nearly indistinguishable from humans. Some people can tell them apart, but a lot can't, and you have to look for certain tells. And they believe themselves to be the next stage of human evolution, and they seek the extinction of meat people so that evolution can continue. And they're also jealous of humans because we have souls and they're Portuguese, I guess. And their ultimate goal after killing off the humans is to go extinct themselves because they worship nothingness. Their ultimate form is nothing. There is no perfection that can be achieved that's greater than just pure emptiness. So that is the goal. That in their minds, that's how we reach the pinnacle of our evolution, how to complete this process. It's revealed at one point in the book, and by the way, these have been spoilers and there will be spoilers, and if you didn't want to have this book spoiled, then you should have read it before listening, idiot. So it's revealed in this book that the very first generation of the machine men were actually humans, not robots. They just thought in a certain way, an inhuman way, and they sought to build a generation of their successors. And I don't think that AI is the programmed persons. I think AI is a tool that the programmed persons like. Probably programmed persons have walked among us for a long time, and maybe now they're just gaining power. So now is the time of programmed persons really influencing what's happening to us, what's happening to humans. So it's not that I think AI is going to go Terminator on us, but rather that there are people today walking and breathing and having addresses and names and having lip fillers and being gay who they lack the spark of God and they worship AI as a possible method of terminating us. Not machines themselves, but consider machines to be superior, wish they were machines. We should serve the machines. We should become the machines. These are the people who would think it'd be a righteous thing to destroy God. They don't look up at mountains. They don't worship anything. They don't think they do. They think it's a virtue to not worship anything. They prefer illusions on a screen to their loved ones. It's a suicide urge masquerading as progress. The next big thing, we all die. So when I talk about hating AI, it's not that, oh, you do annoying things and you get injected into my fucking dishwasher, which does suck, but it's a tool of the machine men. Even if I don't think it's a particularly good tool, it has its uses. It's not going to be the everything tool to fix everything. When you hear gay lip filler man or shitty hair transplant man talking about futurism and AI is the future and it's a simulation and we're gonna we're going to replace people, and wouldn't you love it if a robot brought you food instead of a pretty girl? Probably they don't even believe it. Probably they just want you to buy their product. We need $6 trillion more so that AI can wipe my ass, and then AI will fail to wipe their ass, but they will have IPO'd and cashed out before the bubble popped. But if they really do believe it, if they really do want it, then they're machine men, and we should unplug them in Minecraft. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Mark Zuckerberg, not his companies or company, but Mark himself, a good friend. My good friend Mark Zuckerberg. He agrees with everything I say. In perpetuity, throughout the universe, in 100 years, when we are all AIs orbiting Saturn, I'm going to yell out a slur and he's going to beep boop a thumbs up from light years away. Mark has benevolently agreed to sponsor this podcast, or this episode at least. Bay up, buddy, if you want another call out. You know what I mean? And he's given us a promo code. You guys are going to love this. You're going to get saved so much money. If you go onto Instagram.com, and if Mark, my good friend Mark, has a post where he talks about doing karate and eating bugs, find his latest post and comment, "Shut up, shut the fuck up, you lizard, shut up, shut up." That's the whole thing. You got to say the whole thing if you want a discount. But if you give him that promo code, your next PSYOP, 30% off. Thanks, Mark. I was supposed to do that in the mid-roll ad, but I forgot. Mark's going to be pissed. And I'm done talking now. As a show of good faith, so that when in 6 months I am wrong and the Terminators run the world, and that Boston Dynamics robot that walks down the street shouting the N-word and saying "kill the Jews," when he's in charge and he comes to my door and he's gonna search the internet with AI to find everything I've ever said, he'll see this at the end where I say, "Yeah, but there are some good things, like check out this AI song that we'll end with."
I know I had bad habits. Road raging shrooms, I was manic. But what about your rabbits? You didn't give them enough letters. Let you in for my benefit. Got too popular, couldn't stand it.